Is this truly love, or just a karmic relationship wearing the mask of love to teach us a painful but necessary lesson? I've heard this kind of sharing more times than I can count. I love this person so much, but I always feel tired, anxious, and like I can't be myself. I know I shouldn't stay, but I just can't leave. Stories like these are not rare. In fact, they're heartbreakingly common. And sadly, many people believe they've simply loved the wrong person. But the truth is, this could be a karmic relationship, a soul-level connection that enters your life to teach you a powerful lesson. These relationships often feel intense, magnetic, even fated, but in time they leave you drained. They're not here to stay forever. They're here to reflect something you need to heal within yourself. So how can we recognize the difference? How do we know if we're in a real nourishing love or in a karmic bond that's slowly wearing us down? In today's video, I'll walk you through 10 clear spiritual signs, like whispers from your heart, that can help you tell the difference between a karmic relationship and the kind of love you truly deserve. Part 1, Understanding Karmic Relationships. Before we dive into the specific signs, it's important to ask, what exactly is a karmic relationship? And why does it often feel so intense, yet strangely unsettling? What is a karmic relationship? A karmic relationship is a soul contract created before you were born. It's an invisible agreement between two souls that in this lifetime you will meet again, not to stay forever, but to resolve unfinished karma or heal an old emotional wound from a previous life. It might sound mystical, but it's actually very close to our real experiences. Some people enter your life not to stay, but to awaken something within you that you need to face and heal. Interestingly, the karma involved isn't always with the person standing in front of you. Sometimes that soul is simply standing in for another from your past, helping you complete a spiritual lesson that's long overdue. The energetic pull. Why are karmic bonds so magnetic? Karmic relationships often feel overwhelmingly intense. You feel drawn to the other person from the very first moment, as if something unseen is pulling you together. This is because of the energetic connection. These relationships are often rooted in the lower 3 chakras, especially the sacral, sexual, and solar plexus chakras. That's why there's so much physical chemistry, emotional volatility, and a strange difficulty letting go, even when your mind knows something feels off. In simple terms, this is a connection based on instinct and emotional activation, not soul-level nourishment. Part 2, Why do karmic relationships appear? Now that we understand what a karmic relationship is, the next question naturally arises. Why do these intense, often painful relationships show up in our lives at all? Why don't we just meet kind, gentle people who bring us peace? Why are we drawn to those who challenge us, hurt us, or leave us feeling lost? The answer can be summed up in 2 words: cleansing and learning. 1. To clear past karma. In Buddhism and many spiritual traditions, karma is the residue left behind by our actions, words, and thoughts, not just from this lifetime, but from previous lives as well. Some karma we've created in the past remains unresolved, and meeting a specific soul in this lifetime becomes an opportunity to clear that unfinished karmic energy. That's why people often say, I don't know why I love this person so much, even though they make me suffer. Because the bond is not random, it's a karmic thread pulling 2 souls together to complete something left unfinished. This karmic tie may involve someone you've hurt in a past life, a soul you've shared painful experiences with before, or even someone who is simply standing in for another soul to help you resolve that old wound. Whoever they are, their presence in your life is a chance to purify something deep to help you love in a healthier, wiser, and more compassionate way. 2. To teach profound life lessons. No lesson about inner power, self-worth, or emotional boundaries comes without challenge. A karmic relationship is like a living classroom where the tests feel real, the stakes feel high, and the learning is unforgettable. Every conflict is a lesson in self-control. Every moment of being devalued is a call to remember your worth. Every time you fail to set boundaries is a gentle push. You need to protect yourself better. Karmic relationships often teach us personal power. You don't need to change yourself to be loved. Self-worth, you deserve respect and emotional safety. Boundaries. Love does not mean self-sacrifice. Self-respect. People treat you the way you allow them to. And sometimes the biggest lesson of all is this: learning to let go of someone is the highest form of self-love. In summary, a karmic relationship doesn't show up to punish you. It comes to help you complete a lesson your soul chose before you were born. If you can see the lesson beneath the pain instead of just focusing on the hurt, you'll grow stronger, wiser, and become truly ready for the love you deserve. Part 3. 10 Spiritual Signs You're in a karmic relationship. 1. You feel an instant, intense connection from the very beginning. You meet them and feel like you've known them forever. There's a magnetic pull, fast, strong, and almost addictive. But remember, not everything that feels intense is meant to stay. Sometimes that overwhelming chemistry is a sign of unresolved energy, not deep compatibility. 2. You're deeply drawn to them, yet something inside feels off. Even in the middle of all the attraction, there's a quiet voice inside whispering, "This doesn't feel right. This could end badly." You feel uneasy, but you ignore it. And that's the very intuition you'll later wish you had listened to. 3. They feel familiar, but not like home. There's a strange sense that you've known them from another life, but instead of comfort, you feel tension, like you're always trying to keep the peace. Familiar doesn't always mean safe. Sometimes it's not love returning, it's karma resurfacing. 4. There's constant drama and emotional roller coasters. It's never just calm. One day you're close, the next, you're in an argument. It feels like walking on eggshells. Loving them is exhausting. Real love has hard days, yes, but it also brings peace. A karmic bond often brings chaos disguised as passion. 5. They bring out the worst in you, not the best. You don't like who you've become in this relationship. Maybe you've become clingy, angry, insecure, or even emotionally reactive. A karmic partner often mirrors your unresolved wounds, not your highest self. 6. The relationship feels heavy, not light. You wake up feeling tired. Being around them drains your energy instead of lifting it. Love is not supposed to feel like a burden. If being together weighs on your heart, it's time to question what's holding you there. 7. There's strong physical chemistry, but no emotional safety. The intimacy may be intense, but afterward you still feel disconnected, lonely, unseen. This is often a sign of energy cords tied to the lower chakras, powerful but not healing. 8. You don't feel emotionally safe or fully trusted. You're afraid to speak your truth. You second-guess your words. You worry about upsetting them. A loving relationship makes you feel safe to be yourself. A karmic one makes you feel like you're constantly auditioning. 9. There's emotional codependency. You find yourself living around their moods. If they're distant, you spiral. If they're loving, you feel whole. That's not partnership, it's emotional survival. And it's a sign that you've lost your center. 10. It's painfully hard to leave even when you know you should. You've tried. You've told yourself this is the last time, but somehow you keep going back. That's because karmic relationships often create energetic cords in the lower chakras, powerful emotional ties that are hard to break without awareness and healing. If you recognize yourself in 3 or more of these signs, it's time to pause. Not to blame yourself, but to begin healing, to stop calling pain love, and to remember that you deserve peace in your connections, not just passion. Part 4. The biggest mistake people make in a karmic relationship. There's one very common and very human mistake many of us make: staying too long. In spiritual terms, this is called overextending the soul contract. It means holding on to a relationship that your soul only intended to be temporary. Karmic relationships are not meant to last forever. These relationships enter our lives with a clear purpose: to bring up unresolved karma, to teach us a lesson, and then to end. They're like summer storms, intense, overwhelming, and meant to pass. When the lesson is learned, the energy naturally dissolves. But here's the problem: most people don't want to let go. Why do we stay too long? Because it feels familiar. You've grown used to this connection, the routines, the emotional highs and lows, the person themselves. And the human mind prefers the familiar, even when it hurts. Because we mistake pain for destiny. You tell yourself, if I feel this deeply, surely it must be real love. But strong emotions aren't always a sign of soul compatibility. Intensity is not the same as alignment. Because we spiritualize our suffering. This is a sneaky one. You know this is a karmic bond. You see the patterns. But then you convince yourself, maybe I'm meant to stay a little longer. Maybe I still have more lessons to learn. It sounds noble, but often this is just another way of avoiding healing. You don't have to sit in a classroom forever just because you're afraid to graduate. A truth to remember. A karmic relationship is a bridge, not a home. It's a chapter, not the whole story. If you've truly seen the lesson, if your soul feels tired, if your heart whispers, I've had enough, you're allowed to leave. Not because you failed, but because you've grown. In summary, don't hold on to a lesson you've already learned. Don't confuse attachment with destiny. And don't stay because you think you don't deserve better. You deserve a love that doesn't ask you to suffer to grow. You deserve a love that begins after the healing, not in the middle of it. Part 5, how to let go of a karmic relationship, and 3, gentle steps. Letting go of a karmic relationship isn't just about walking away from a person. It's about stepping away from a soul lesson, one you may not have fully realized you were entangled in. The good news is, once you see the truth clearly, healing can begin. Here are 3 foundational steps to help you not only end the relationship, but also ensure you don't repeat the same karmic pattern again. Step 1. Deep awareness. Before you let go, you must see clearly, not just whether the other person was right or wrong, but what this relationship is trying to teach you about yourself. Ask yourself, why was I so drawn to this person? What emotions or wounds keep repeating in this connection? Abandonment, disrespect, control, etc. Is this pattern something familiar from childhood or past relationships? Suggested practice journal on this question. What is this relationship teaching me about me? Write down emotional patterns, triggers, repeated behaviors. Reflect on what core wound this relationship has been activating. The truth is, once you name the lesson, you stop being consumed by it. You begin to detach, and from that space, you can finally choose. Step 2. Clear the energy and integrate. The lesson letting go is not just a mental decision. It's an energetic release. You need to clear the energetic bonds between you and the other person, many of which may have been formed over lifetimes. You don't need an elaborate ritual. A small, meaningful ceremony at home, done with sincerity, is enough. Suggested clearing ritual. Light a candle. Burn some incense. Write down what you're releasing. Speak aloud affirmations such as, I clear the karma of being abandoned, disempowered, disrespected in all directions of time and all planes of existence. I receive and integrate the lessons of this experience. I dissolve the need to repeat them again. You might also visualize a cord of energy between you and the person and gently cut it with light forgiveness and love. Don't skip this step. If you don't clear the energy, you may attract someone else with the exact same lesson, just in a new disguise. Step 3. Take decisive action. Finally, healing must move from insight into action. Depending on your situation, this may mean leaving the relationship completely. Or if you can't leave yet, reclaiming your power, setting strong boundaries and letting the relationship dissolve on its own from a place of strength and clarity. What matters most? You're no longer acting from fear or dependency. You're no longer responding from the same old wounded place. You begin to behave from self-respect, mindfulness, and calm awareness. Important reminder, do not skip steps 1 and 2. If you take action without first understanding the lesson and clearing the energy, you're likely to attract a new karmic partner with the same old story. Letting go is not running away. Letting go is a conscious act of self-love. When you finally love yourself enough, you'll know, I no longer need to stay in a place that hurts just to prove something. Part 6. You weren't meant to hurt forever. If you've made it this far into the video, let me say this first. I see your heart. I see how deeply you've loved, how long you've stayed, how hard you've tried to turn pain into peace, to make something broken feel whole. And I want to tell you something that maybe no one has said to you yet. You were never meant to suffer in the name of love. Love was never meant to feel like fear, confusion, or constant walking on eggshells. Karmic relationships are not mistakes. They're spiritual mirrors, fierce, honest, often painful, that show us where we are still unhealed. But they are not homes. They are bridges. They are meant to carry you across, not chain you down. You may still be asking, but what if I walk away and never find love again? What if this was my only chance? Here's the truth. You were not born to endlessly repeat suffering just to earn love. You were born to become love. And from that place of wholeness, you will attract something entirely different, not because you're lucky, but because you're finally ready. When you let go of a karmic relationship, you are not just saying goodbye to a person. You are saying goodbye to a version of yourself that didn't know their worth. That alone is sacred. So if your heart is aching right now, know this: you are not broken. You are awakening. You are growing through the fire. And soon you will rise from the ashes, not bitter, but brighter. May you remember that true love does not require you to lose yourself, that you are allowed to walk away from patterns that hurt, and that healing is not the end, it is the beginning of your most radiant chapter yet. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing truth over comfort. And thank you for loving yourself enough to ask, is this really love? Or is it just a lesson in disguise? Stay gentle, stay strong, and when you're ready, open your heart again, but this time only to the love that lifts you. This is Mindful Healing. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it. And remember, the path to real love always begins with the love you give yourself.